Yes, people. Good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world. It's another show, a Monday Night Madness show. Yes, we've got co-hosts Johnny and Mr. Gunarikan in the building with Dr. Seymour Butts. He's just busy at the moment, but he should be here shortly. Guys, I hope you've bought your sandwiches. I hope you bought your biscuits. I hope you bought your lunches and your dinners because we're going to try and get through this. But we're going to make sure we finish our dinner instead of, wasting it on talking nonsense. Guys, last week I said to you, I don't care about any other game apart from the Cherries at Emirates. And guess what happened? Guess what happened? The usual bottle jobs didn't turn up. Now, if you don't like us criticizing the manager, then please leave the stream now. Please do not watch this because there's going to be a lot of criticism. There's going to be a lot of criticism. And if you're not of a, if you're of a weak disposition, then I would tell you to leave now. So anyway, 2-1 loss, disgusting performance, but it's got to the point where the players are a reflection of the manager. And what does that mean? That means the players aren't good enough. So why we can say that this player was crap and this player was rubbish, well, the manager brought these players in. I heard a little criticism of Berta today from a Man United fan. Big up to my boy Mido, yeah? Like, I think he tried to kind of talk about Wanyeri going on loan, but I had to correct him that Wanyeri, why is he going to stay and not get minutes when he can get minutes and he can be in the shop window? There's so much to uncover today, people. There's so much liberties this manager is getting away with right now. And they're talking about at the end of the season, renewing his, talking about negotiations for a new contract. He shouldn't be anywhere. There should be no Twitter. There should be no rumors. There should be nothing until he's got us over the line. And even then, I'm saying, Arteta, please stand down, walk, go away. Just go away from this club because this guy has done more damage to us than what the people say when he came in and he's changed this and he's changed that. He's doing more damage to our reputation around the world. Yeah, I'll just show you something before I'll let you guys in. Yeah, this is what we have become. Yeah, this is what we have become. And if you're not affected by this, then I don't know what you're affected by. Look at that. This is what. And before you lot come in, yeah, I would say if we lose on Sunday, yeah, I've got a feeling, and this is an idea. So if there's a City fan, all of the City fans have one of these Arsenal bottles, yeah, and do the same thing. That will kill us. And if they win on a set piece, it's going to be even worse. But I allow you guys to jump in. I allow you guys to speak, and then let's get into it.
Go to Regan. You want to start?
Yeah, man. Starting with the bottle thing, man. Listen, they don't even have to bring the bottles. They just start doing the pause now when they up 3-0, and then we'll already know, what we got. I mean, I think that we were having the discussion in the group chat, man, and all of the good that this manager has done, his ego is just stripping it away. Like he was at a point where we were competing, and now his ego just. And it's the same thing that happened with Arsene Wenger near the end. You know what I'm saying? The ego just wouldn't allow you to step aside. Now, I want to talk about the contract, right? So we know, with players, usually when you're getting down toward the 18-month mark, that's when you start negotiating for a new contract because you don't want to get into that year mark. In the summer, this guy's going to have a year. So to me, that tells me that maybe Berta doesn't trust him or maybe the board doesn't trust him because if they wanted to give this guy a new contract, it would have already been in the works. He would have already been having conversations near mid-season. about extending the contract. The fact that they're saying we'll talk in the summer lets me know. And we can say what we want about Josh Kroenke, but ever since he's come in, he's run it differently than Stan. Stan is one of the silent ones. He kind of looks, he pops in every now and then. I feel like Josh is taking Arsenal as a proving ground. And if he's told Daddy, listen, I can run this and make winners, and Arteta's making them look stupid, I guarantee you, billionaires don't like looking stupid. Especially if you want to prove to your dad that you can take over the family business. This guy's making you look stupid. He spent £1 billion of your pounds to win nothing. And then you're watching the guy that you sacked. Like, if I'm aboard, if I watch Unai Emery win the Europa League on our head, he beat us to win the Europa League. Like, we didn't see it from afar. We saw it in 3D person, right? He's beating us. Not only that, but he's beating us in the actual league with Aston Villa. So if I'm looking at that, I'm like, the guy we got rid of is doing a good job. He's beating us. He's making us look stupid. And I'm still giving this fraud £1 billion to do nothing, right? So there's an amalgamation of things. So I don't think it's very cut and dry. Like, oh, he'll be in the summer. They'll see what happens. I think the writing's already close to being on the wall. They're just, and I said this when we hired Berta, and I'll end on this. When we hired Berta, I felt like he gave him enough rope to hang himself. Last season, it was, oh, the squad is so small. We don't have anybody. Oh, woe is me. So Berta said, okay, I'll give you the top European striker. Oh, you want a Spanish guy? I'll give you Supermendi. There you go. You want a Chelsea reject? There you go. You want some youngins? Here you go. Now, I've given you everything. I've given you extra money. I've given you everything that you possibly need. If he does not win the season, there's nowhere for him to run. He can blame the pitch, the roundness of the ball, the sun being in his eye. Bruh, you had more than Pep. And you have not delivered anything. So there's no excuses, man. He cannot run anymore. That's it. That's all I got.
Big G.
Listen, man, at the end of the day, the problem is that his control and his influence on everything going on is potentially going to be a much bigger problem than what anybody wants to talk about. I said this, the league, it was funny because we texted backstage and we're talking about it, where I said whoever wins this League Cup could potentially be the deciding factor to win the league. Listen, at the end of the day, if we do lose this league, it's not because we lost the League Cup, if I'm being quite honest with you. It's also because of the fact that we didn't take advantage of those games against Wolves, Brentford, and Liverpool. Those three games are coming back to haunt us right now.
Forest as well.
And Forest, yes. Those 4
game in April.
Those four games have come back to haunt us. Plus, now that we've seen this statistic come out that Sporting Lisbon is I think his only win in the month of April in 6 years of him being here. I think maybe the only other two, because I just don't remember when they were, but maybe Real Madrid. But his only victories in the month of April have come in the Champions League, never in the league. I mean, that speaks for itself. Listen, the players, they reflect the manager, but the problem is at the end of the day is even if they do reflect the manager, the other problem is these guys have just been ran into the ground. This manager is, as Gunnar Rieken just said, he has nowhere to run. This is all on him. We got told against Aston Villa when we blew that 2-0 lead at home last season that it's amazing where we're at considering all the injuries, the squad. We knew the squad was thin and all this bullshit. And everybody rallied behind and said, oh, it's because of the injuries. Get him players and he'll go on and win the league. Well, he was not only given players, but we've spent enough money now to where we are in the conversations with the big teams, whether we like it or not. And this, again, I say this all the time, this is the only team that has spent $1 billion and still talking about what if, buts, and maybes on trophies. It's the only one. We have a situation right now to where, exactly as I agree, if he wins the Premier League, I still want him gone. we really don't know how big of a job this is going to potentially be with all these injuries. Has there even been any update on Saka or Timber yet? Because last I heard, they weren't allowed in training. Well, that's a couple trainings now that they've missed. So we don't know what the state of Saka and Timber is. So that means we're still going to be potentially risking Mosquera or Ben White to go up against either Semenyo, Cherokee, or whoever in City this coming weekend. Calafiore or whoever else they're going to put at the left back, or Skelly. I mean, Skelly didn't have a good game, but the problem was that Skelly's not a left back. He's a midfielder, and it's showing every single time. I mean, it's just overall the mismanagement of the squad, no rotations, running players into the ground, hindering your team from playing any type of offensive football. I mean, if we didn't score that penalty, if we didn't even get that penalty, we weren't going to score a goal. We're having our offense is hitting blank right now at the most crucial point of the season. The set piece ole nonsense is no longer there because we're not scoring on corners or free kicks anymore. So at the end of the day, the manager at this point, the manager is just a sitting duck, unless he does a madness against Manchester City, which I don't even think that's going to happen.
No.
If you saw that City game yesterday, I mean, yeah, Chelsea put up a good fight in the first half, but once City decided to put their foot on the gas, they were. I mean, shout out to, I think it was Nems who said it in the chat. Ryan Cherokee might be the best player in the Premier League right now. That assist that he gave between three defenders to Mark Gahey's goal was unbelievable. But I'll tell you, I just don't see where this next win is coming from. I really don't. I don't see where this next win for Arsenal is coming from unless we get extremely lucky. You know, and it's just this is all on the manager. So yeah, again, at the end of the day, if he wins the Premier League, thanks for winning, but you got to go, man, because we have a whole big issue to deal with at this club now.
What? Let's delve a little bit deeper into the implications of Sunday. Forget about the Champions League. I don't really care about the Champions League at this stage. But what are the implications if we lose this game on Sunday?
Oh, season's done. They're winning. We've capitulated.
Okay, that answered that question.
Bro, there's a very realistic possibility right now that if we lose 3-0 to the Etihad, which is a very possible situation right now, if we were to lose 3-0 against Manchester City, and I know we haven't given up 3 goals in a long time, but in the state that we're in, this could potentially be the first game that we give up 3 goals in a game. They're tied with us on goal differential with a game in hand.
That's right.
This game, you know, people are now trying to come up with, oh, we need to get a draw against City. Brother, champions don't do this shit. You either go put the work in and go win, or you're going to lose. And if we're talking about, oh, we need a draw to just go through here, brother, these games ain't going to get easier. Our next 4 games is Manchester City. We then play Newcastle, who is dealt a European blow, but is still in a European race that we have to play. Not only them, then after that, you got Fulham, who's trying to get into a European place. And then after that, you face West Ham away. You go from 3 teams, you go from a team that you're facing the title for, 2 teams fighting for Europe, and then a team that's fighting relegation. All which, by the way, if we do beat Sporting Lisbon, the 2 games against Atletico Madrid or Barcelona is in between Newcastle and Fulham and West Ham. So there's a very realistic possibility that with all the injuries and where the schedule is right now, that we could blow everything within the next couple weeks.
Wow, man. This Carabao Cup, this is what I mean, yeah? When it comes to football, when it comes to trophies.
Bro, it goes beyond the Carabao Cup. I'm sorry. The Carabao Cup to me is more of the icing on the cake as far as us capitulating. Again, those 4 games, Forest, Wolves, Brentford, and Liverpool is what we're going to lose this title on.
You know, the game that really sticks in the mind out of all of those games, it's that Martinelli miss against Forest. For some reason, I keep seeing that miss against Forest because isn't that an extra 2 points?
Yeah, it could be an extra 2 points, but besides that, brother, here's the problem at the end of the day. We should have saw all this coming. We should have saw this potentially coming when we lost to Aston Villa. Let's just be honest here. When we lost to Aston Villa, we should have started seeing this coming because the return leg when we won 4-1, again, that scoreline flatters us because it doesn't tell the whole story of that game. We didn't take over that game till Onana got injured and got taken out.
We were without Declan Rice as well in that game, though, wasn't we?
Brother, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's Aston Villa. You spent $1 billion. We should be beating them. This is, if we want to think like a big club, let's actually think like a big club. The problem is that the first half, whether we had Rice or not, the defense was wide open. And if Ollie Watkins had his shooting boots on, he might have had a hat trick in the first half. 3-0. Whether Rice was out back then or not, if somebody was to score 3 goals on us, we weren't playing with enough creativity even back then to put 3 goals in the back of the net. We got lucky because their entire game changed once Onana got hurt and we were able to run right through the midfield. Since the turn of the new year, we have not been that good of a team.
What is this down to, though? Is this down to bad
running the players into the ground? Running the players into the ground and inconsistent runs. You want here. We all know that form comes from consistency, right? So why is it that Eze, when he put on the show the first time against Spurs, then doesn't play for the next 5 games? For no apparent reason, doesn't play. You have stupid shit like that. You have the preferences that this manager has towards his favorites. Eze puts in a madness like that against Spurs the first game. Odegaard immediately comes right back in, doesn't do a fucking thing. And even now, to talk about present day shit, Odegaard having a falling out with Ethan Nwaneri, Arteta sends him away because of the fact that he's backing his captain. Meanwhile, him choosing his favorites has bit him in the ass this year. Nobody can tell me right now that Ethan Nwaneri loan move makes any sense. People can say, oh, the kid needs minutes, the kid needs minutes. Brother, that kid should have been getting minutes over a lot of these fucking bums.
You know, Tony Adams, yeah? He exposed everything from day dot. When he spoke on Odegaard, he exposed the mentality of this captain and the mentality of this team. Johnny, you seem like you're already emotionally detached from Sunday. I'm
not emotionally detached.
I could still angry. I still feel myself getting heated on Sunday if we lose this game.
You mean detached from the Bournemouth game, brother? You saw this.
No, I'm talking about the Man City game. It's like you're prepared,
brother, because brother. Here's the problem. We've been saying from how long now that it's not sustainable. Everyone kept saying, "Let's just keep getting through it. Let's keep getting through it." Brother, it just hasn't. It's not working. Again, did you see that stat? The guys who touched the ball the most in the game against Bournemouth was the furthest person up the pitch that touched the ball the most was Declan Rice. None of our wingers, none of our supposedly creative midfielders, not our striker. Our goalkeeper, our 2 center backs, and our number 6, big up E. Ross. Those are the guys who touched the ball the most. I think Declan Rice led the team with like 50 passes. Raya's the next one up with 49. What are we doing here, bro? What are we doing here with this shit?
Can I read a stat since Gianni's on that as well? Because Johnny did make a good point. I just pulled up the minutes played, right? I'm just going to go. It's only 25 of them, but I want to read the disparity between minutes, right? So according to this site, StatMuse, right? David Raya has played the most minutes with 2,880, which you expect. The man's goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Martin Zubimendi has 2,672 minutes. Declan Rice has 2,671 minutes. Urian Timber has 2,454 minutes.
And he has
Gabriel Magalhaes has 2,256, right? William Saliba has 2,164. So looking at that, 3 of our defenders are all over 2,000 minutes, right? I'll just go through the defense to start off with, right? Our backup defenders, right? Christian Mascara has 688. Ben White has 486. Matsu Skelly has 411. Christian Norgard has 61. Ethan
61.
Wanyeri, who's on loan, has 170.
Not even 90 minutes.
He's not. Yeah, no.
Right. So that's just the defenders. It's no wonder we've seen Declan Rice hobbling. Martin Zubimendi's been injured. Yerin Timber is out. Gabriel Magalhaes has been out. William Saliba's been out. Who's next after those guys? Let's talk about our attackers. Bukayo Saka, 1,998 minutes. He's injured. Vicky Gyökeres, 1,982 minutes. Luckily, he's still all right because he gets subbed every now and then. Trossard, 1,713. Hincapie at 1,503. Eze, 1,456. Calafiore, 1,448. And the only reason he has that many is probably because he's always injured. Right? We're still over 1,000. Odegaard, 1,076. He was out. Marino, 1,006. Nani Madueke has 900.
Marino's got over 1,000. Marino's got over 1,000 minutes when he's been hurt for this long.
Yep.
Oh, bro, that tells you everything you need to know.
Nani Madueke and Gabriel Martinelli have 949 and 907. Then you have Christian Mascara with the 688, right? So he's been mid because he's been forced to go in there. These guys have under 500 minutes, and this is last bit. Ben White has 486. Lewis Skelly has 411. Jesus has 328. Kai Havertz has 317 because he's been injured. Ethan Wanyeri, 171. Max Diamond, 83. And Christian Norgard, 61. And we wonder why people are hobbling. We've got 7 players over 2,000 minutes. And we have replacements for all of them who are under 1,000 minutes. So whose fault is it that we're not getting over the line? Whose fault is it that these guys are tired? It's not Berta's. It's not the fans. It's not Stan Kroenke. It's one guy. So when he has this sob story about, oh, it's so sad, woe is me. Well, you're the manager.
Yep.
You can rotate these players. Pep's done it. Look at Pep right now. Man City look imperious. Why? Because half of those dudes were getting rotated. Right? But not us. Not us. We had to get our win in December trophy. Were you guys all at the parade? I missed it. I couldn't make it to the win something in December trophy. Top of every table in December trophy. Now it looks like we're going to be bottom of every table because if you're not first, you're last. That's it. That's it.
Let's bring in Dr. Seymour here because Dr. Seymour has been saying that we're not winning a trophy literally all season. And now look what's happened. We're down to like the final clash or the final embarrassment, and he's gonna get his flowers for the prediction that a lot of us didn't see coming. Dr. S, when did this idea or this concept come to you that we weren't winning anything, even though we were playing stinky, but we were winning games throughout the season? When did it all change for you?
Well, first and foremost, big up to all four of you, three of you rather, and big up to the Legend chat as well. So again, I take no pleasure, right? I take no pleasure telling telling the world, that the club that I've been supporting my entire life is not going to win anything. All right. So I just want to be clear, I don't get any personal pleasure out of saying that we're going to win nothing. But I could see right from the onset, as soon as that transfer window had ended, and really even more so just by virtue of retaining this manager. The fact that this manager was not let go last summer, the fact that we had spent so much money. Again, people had loved to talk about how great this window was. We spent like a record amount last summer. And we had also seen for the first time, Don Andrea Berta being able to implement some of his nous onto our transfers. So the way that I've always described it is that as we know, Arteta has had unprecedented control at this club, and he has had more control over this club than Wenger ever had. And Wenger, as we all know, had a lot of control over this club regarding everything from top level all the way down to its most minute minutia. But we saw Berta, like, in the last summer transfer window, start to pull at that unprecedented authority, like overruling Arteta signing Victor Gyökeres, my fucking client, Victor Gyökeres. Hold that, Arteta. Fucking hold that. Because as we know, Arteta was, he was shouting from the rafters wanting one Benjamin Tesco. And Berta was like, no, on that whole like Dikembe Mutombo status. No, big fella. We ain't signing that scrub. Brought in Victor Gyökeres. And he did the same thing as well with Eberechi Eze, because as we know, this manager wanted Nico Williams from Bilbao. We had, so those two signings, along with Mascara, and I mean, honestly, I've forgotten who we brought in at this point, just because we have seen so many. We've seen so many incomings that this manager has wanted, but I'll tell you this: we also know whose modus operandi it is to go back to Stamford Bridge dumpster diving for players that are deemed expendable at Chelsea. It's not Andrea Berta; it's Mikel Arteta. I saw at the end of that window, I had ruled it that you could bring in anyone you want in the world. You could give Arteta the last Ballon d'Or winners of the last 25 years. I'll get to that in a second. I will get that in a second, because those are not Victor Gyökeres' words. I'll get to that in a second. We could bring in the last Ballon d'Or winners of the past 25 years, or even since the beginning of the century. Arteta would have turned all those players into Sunday league players and would have torn up their hamstrings. This is a manager we've been told is learning on the job, yet simultaneously is not learning anything on the job. We are seeing a manager who's repeating the same mistakes in phase 7 as he was in phase 1. And at the end of the day, it is all at our expense. It is at our expense of a club having such pedigree, having such a global standing. It is at the expense of this club that we have been paying him an exorbitant amount of money. It has been at the expense of this club that we have gone on for so long. And I'm not faulting him for the years under Wenger that we did not win silverware, but he has been a continuation of that. The reason why we got rid of Wenger was because he wasn't getting over the line for the Premier League and the Champions League, because we were winning FA Cups with him. But we were saying back then that wasn't good enough. So now we are in 2026, where we haven't won fuck all since COVID. Even before that, for that matter. Well, the FA Cup, that was what, that was May 2020?
Yeah, COVID year.
So we haven't won fuck all since. We hadn't been in a final since then either, right? Or were we in the European? Were we in the Europa League final? No,
that was the season. That was the season prior with Emery. That was 2019.
Yep. Yeah. You're right. I apologize. Yep. And you would think that a manager, and players too, for that matter, some of these players, there's a lot of blame to go around, but you would think that a team and a club that has gone on for so long without winning silverware, that they would have rocked up to Wembley and they would have done what was needed to get over the line to end that trophy drought, period. But what happened? The same damn thing that we have been seeing year after year after year after year after year under this manager. That when the chips are on the table, when things matter, not that we're champions of October, but when things matter, when there's a trophy on the line, this manager folds like a deck of cards. This manager has has worked under Pep. This manager was a teacher's pet to Wenger. This manager has played with some of the most techie footballers that we have seen, whether it's Ronaldinho or JJ Akacha or Santi Cazorla or Ozil or seeing all the ballers at City. And yet he has learned everything. His style of play emulates the Moyes era at Everton, and he has learned the worst aspects from Wenger.
Yep.
Because I know that we were all saying that Wenger had lost his way ever since we demolished Highbury and moved into the Emirates, and we balled the league in 2007-2008, balled the league in 2013-14, balled the league in 2015-16. That's right. Palace wanted to win it.
Yep.
And we said, you know what? No, we're too good. We're too good for a Carabao Cup. And for what it's worth, that's not a trophy that I really care about too much. But I do want to see a trophy just by default that we purport ourselves to be a big club. Big clubs win trophies annually, consistently, consecutively. And the fact that we have gone on for so long, our trophy cabinet is caked in dust. The one thing that we needed to do that day was to get over the line at Wembley and again, put the sword to City. We have allowed City to even be in contention, in conversation in mid-April. People were writing off City at the beginning of the season. Oh, well, this is not the same City side. You're right, it's not. And just for the fact alone that they are still in the title race after being in an off season, just shows how poor we have been. I saw that just live, as you had also mentioned, Waffle Don. I saw that live, and I said, that's going viral. I mean, that is. I mean, and for what it's worth, that's some clever shit. Big up to that.
We deserve it.
Fuck yeah,
we deserve it.
We absolutely deserve it. So look, as I said, I don't take any pleasure in this, but the writing has been on the wall for so long with this club. The writing has been on the wall for so long with this manager. I was saying 3 years ago, sack him. I was saying at the onset that we should have never even hired him to begin with. But we still have so many people within our fan base that are, like Aerosmith, they're living on a prayer. If that even was Aerosmith. And this is nonsense on stilts. It may have been yourself, Gianni, that had mentioned this. I mean, or what? I think it was Maddie. Big up Southern Gooner as well. Yeah, they don't even do this in the U9s. Nope. That is some kinder care. Recreational soccer league bullshit. And we have fucking pay professionals on $200,000 a week doing this, and fans are lapping this up. Well, I'm here to tell you this. We know that Arteta sexuals, have controlled Twitter for some time, but another Arteta sexual hive mind, that is the Arsenal Reddit page, that worm has turned, ladies and gentlemen. That worm has drastically turned. And DJB had also said it on his stream. I think it was last night. People were departing at the Bournemouth game, roughly on the 79th, 80th minute. People were departing the Emirates, and that moment right there looked exactly like when Wenger's days were nigh at this club. People don't want to accept that we have that. We were at the end of the road with this manager. We should have sacked him in December. Should have sacked him in January. Should have sacked him in February. Because I was saying right there. I was saying right then and there, and I really got to stop yapping. So I'm gonna tie it up. Really quick here. Sack this manager before it goes pear shape. Even sack him right now. Bring in a caretaker. Put in Heinze for all I care at this point. Do something different, because what has been ongoing at this club is not working. It's not working. And we also know that when a new manager comes in, because rest assured, a new manager is coming. Pause. But at but at the end of the day, this new manager, they are going to be given even more work than Arteta had entered with, because this manager now, he has to deal with a squad entirely on its limbs, physically speaking, simply because Arteta has been collecting hamstrings, like fucking like talismans, like from Jackie Chan's, like adventures in the in the early 2000s.
Monkey
You know what I
magic.
mean, Gianni. And and even worse, these players are psychologically damaged. We may be the only club to have gone second place 4 years in a row, back to back to back to back. We are going to be, if and when, it's more of a when in my perspective, but when we go without the league title this year and we go trophyless again, we are going to be bantered ad infinitum. We are going to be bantered endlessly. And really, the only people that that have shame to hold are the Arteta sexuals. Big up Easy Ross. The people that will be holding this shame, lifetimes of shame. They can live an entire life. They can live several lives. Oh,
I don't know what I done there.
We've all been lost in the Matrix, low key. But look, all I got to say is that, look, I don't take any pleasure, satirizing and bantering this club, that I've been supporting my entire life. I don't. But what I can say is that, we are.
What have I done?
You were on the mashup today, Waffle Don, for real.
No, man.
But no, and the one thing I wanted to address with respect to the comments made by my client Victim Yacarez, we know that this manager is spineless and is sackless, and he will make players speak for him as a mouthpiece. So when Victim Yacarez says shit like, "Oh, the field is too dry," those are Arteta's words, but he's too pussy to come out on camera and say it directly. I'll leave it at that.
So I want to comment on a couple of things you said. Firstly, and then I won't be too long. But firstly, I don't understand how a fan base such of ourselves that haven't won anything in 22 years can now turn their nose up at a trophy. Haven't won anything since COVID. Turn your nose up. Haven't won the Carabao Cup in 30 years. I'm 33. The last time I won the Carabao Cup, I was a baby, newborn. Still had coochie juice on me, right? So we're talking about, poo-pooing a trophy that Manchester City wins every year, and we've seen it. In March, they win that trophy, and then in April, they go on a tear. And we're seeing it this season, right? Mikel Arteta's worst statistical month is April. Guess who has the best statistics in April? Pep Guardiola. Mm-hmm. Why? Because he said, bro, Pep Guardiola was kicked. The man got carded for kicking aside when they scored a goal in the Carabao Cup final. Yep. He got carded for celebrating too hard. He celebrated like it was a Champions League final. But you got Arsenal fans saying, "Oh, we didn't want the Carabao Cup." Oh, FA Cup? Yeah, we won it. We won it 14 times. We don't need it. This manager hasn't won anything in 5. Bro, you get 4 chances to win a trophy every single season. For 5 years, you have not done it. 4 chances. I mean, Gianni and Dr. Seymour will know. In American sports, you get 1 chance. Right? These dudes lose, I have to wait an entire year to watch them again. The Dolphins lose, I got to wait 9 months to watch it again. These guys only have to wait 2 months in the offseason before they can watch their team go for another title, and you got a chance to win 4. So poo-pooing trophies, not having it, bro. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand where we got this entitlement that we're too good for a trophy that Pep Guardiola lifted like it was the treble. Like it was a Champions League trophy, right? I'm tired, bro. I'm tired. Like, I know everybody on the I'm just exhausted, right? And the thing is, with our manager, right? And the second thing I want to talk about is Dr. Seymour. If Victor Yacarez is being the mouthpiece of Mikel Arteta, that means that he's softer than Arteta is. Ain't nobody gonna tell me to waffle and say no crap. I don't care if you gonna bench me or not. I gotta stay true to me, right? Mm-hmm. And the fact that these players keep having excuses shows you who he's brought to the club. The last people who had a voice, who had a mentality, Xhaka, out of there. Aubameyang, out of there. Guendouzi stood up for his teammate. His teammate's getting abused. He stood up for him, and he got shipped out. No, he got too much attitude.
Ozil, too. Don't forget Ozil.
Yeah, Ozil. We didn't want Ivan Toney because he had an attitude. No one in Premier League has said anything about Ivan Toney having an attitude. Does he have a gambling problem? Maybe. Attitude, no one heard anything. But as soon as we got linked with him, oh, he's got an attitude problem. Guess what? Have you heard about an attitude problem since then?
Nope.
But we were in for Gianni's guy. What's his name? Osman. We were hearing he had an attitude problem. He was still gonna go after him. No, he doesn't care about attitude. He doesn't want anyone who has a history of winning and has as big as the ego as he has. All of these guys we got at the club are yes men. Name one true leader who's going to say, Mikel, I ain't doing that. You know how I know there aren't any? Because we wouldn't have seen that crap we've been seeing for the past 3 weeks. At some point, a leader would have said, bro, I'm not playing you shaped. We have a chance to win the title. Bun him. Declan Rice did it last season. Mm-hmm. Guess what? Mikel Arteta's going red in the face, talking about cross the ball, cross the ball. If we cross the ball and we don't beat Real Madrid, we're not having this conversation. But we don't have those moments. We don't have enough people that will stand up and say, "We ain't doing this," and that's the biggest problem.
You know the problem, Gunarican, yeah, is that what will happen this week is we're more than likely will be Sporting. It might be tight or whatever.
I don't know.
They've got a lot of players out. You know, I think they've got quite a few players out. I think we would just get over the line beating them. I think we will just get over the line. But the point I'm trying to make is the fan base will start to get giddy again. They start to think that, yep, we're going to beat City. We're going to go into this game. People just need to realize, yeah, that the title is over for us. We've had so many opportunities, yeah, to go. You know, so many opportunities to just be clear, yeah, against a City side that Johnny would say has not been great this season. But we've given them back. We've given the greatness back to them this season by faltering each and every time. Because when you keep giving people chances, keep giving people chances, eventually, yeah. Eventually, they're just going to take their chance. Yeah. And City are doing that. And we have, you know, a world-class manager in Pep that if you give him so many chances, he's going to take advantage of it. And he knows now that it's the final hurdle now. But what I want to ask you guys now, yeah, is it impossible? Is the dream impossible still, or is there any? Can we win on Sunday at all? I want to hear from the panels. I don't
think we can. I mean, technically we can. We can win any game we're a part of, but I think the mentality is gone, man. We got bopped. We got bopped in a neutral ground. We didn't get bopped at Etihad. We got bopped at Wembley. That everyone was telling me. We don't lose at Wembley. We play really well at Wembley, and they embarrassed us, right? And then we follow it up by getting beat by a championship team. Also, we have to pair with the fact that the World Cup's coming up. These players aren't going to run themselves into the ground anymore. The World Cup is what, a month and a half away?
Yeah.
So if you're already in the red zone, if you're already, feeling a little knock on the leg, am I going to go into a tackle? Am I going to go into a challenge?
Oh, these points are very valid.
Am I going to work hard? Right. So
yes, because you want to win a Premier League trophy, which you've never won in your life.
But we've watched this Man City team win.
Not if they're trying to get the manager out.
Yeah, we've won. We watched City come back and claw back for 2 years. These are some of the same guys that bottled it in 22-23 and 24-25. And you know what I'm saying? Like, well, 22-23, 23-24. And then last year we just supremely bottled it. But yeah, like if you're a player, you're thinking about all the other stuff. Once City get a win, and it depends on how much they win by. If they win 1-0, maybe. But I keep hearing this thing where they're talking about, we got to use this as motivation. The bottle thing, let's use it as motivation. Bernardo Silva, talking trash, let's use it as motivation. Doing keepy uppies, let's do it, use it as motivation. In the past 3 years, have we? Has this team used it as motivation in the past 3 years? We haven't been. It's not like this is the first year we're getting clowned, guys. I get clowned every season.
Mm-hmm.
So are the players. So are the team. So if it hasn't motivated them by then, they're not going to do it. I don't think we can win. I don't think we will win. I think we can win, and I'll come in here on the next Monday. I'll hold my hands up and say I didn't see that coming, but I won't hold my breath. I won't put no money on it, man, because I just think the players look dejected. They look exhausted, and all it takes is a well-rested Man City to bop us 3-0, and that's it. We couldn't beat Southampton or Bournemouth. This is Manchester City, champions.
Hell, we struggled against Wolves for that matter. Wolves, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so much like yourself, I don't think we're winning on Sunday. I don't even think we're beating Sporting either. I think they will do us. This wouldn't be the first time that Sporting would knock us out of a competition at home. The players, I think the players are massively dejected, and I think it's even also fair to say that a lot of these players are no longer playing for the manager. We know how tight-lipped the dressing room can be, intentionally so, just because if word was to get out that there are massive rifts, and players are mashing each other up, it would only be confirming what we have known for time. I genuinely imagine that we're going to go out to Sporting, and I think we're going to get absolutely panned by City. And I would not be surprised as well if they if City provides every ticket holder or fan going to that match and giving them a bottle. You're absolutely correct. I can that would be. That is something that I know that if the roles were reversed, I would be doing that.
100%.
So I think we're gonna get panned 4 or 5-0. I swear down.
That's the ultimate humiliation.
Well, Arteta likes to be.
If the manager has to go, then let it be, innit? If we're losing 2-3-0, what difference does it make, innit? Make it 10, innit? Yeah, make it the biggest humiliation so he walks, because we can't have.
He will never walk. You making 15 mil?
He'll never walk.
He walk into the bank maybe, but he ain't gonna walk away from the club.
He'll never walk. You have to physically sack him.
Yeah, 15 mil. 15. I'll burn this joint down before I go. I'll take all the food and the tea and everything before you get me out of there. I ain't leaving. 15. Who else is gonna pay Mikel Arteta 15 million pounds to not win anything?
He ain't getting that nowhere. Nowhere.
When you got Simeone on what, 20? I think Enrique is on less than him.
Yes. Yeah, I think he's on about 10 or something.
That's one everything.
Diego Simeone are the only two managers paid more than Mikel Arteta.
I'm so depressed, right? I fancied French onion soup, and I've not had French onion soup in ages. This French onion soup with a little cheese on toast as well.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm actually craving that. And I know when I'm depressed, I like certain types of food. I'm sick of this club, man. I'm sick of the football. I'm sick of the fans. I'm just sick of everything right now.
And that goes back to what Johnny and the doctor said. Like we could potentially be in a worse place than when Wenger left. You know what I'm saying? Everyone was telling me how this guy was some sort of savior and he brought us back. I mean, how did you save us by losing top 4 to our biggest rivals?
I'll take Wenger back now. At least
he wins the league.
100.
He walks the league.
He walks the league. He walks the league.
Wenger's biggest issue was that
I don't know about that because I don't know if he walks the league, but he definitely has a better chance of winning it than Arteta because the fucking dude, whether Wenger comes in or not, the players are ran into the ground and the injuries is the biggest talk right now. That's the bit that is the sole bit. If this team is 100, if everybody is 100% and it's a mentality thing, sack the manager. You could bring another manager in. The physical side of it, you can't get around. All these players are ran into the fucking ground. I mean, bro, he had Eze at a number 6. He had Eze at the number 6 position when he started making his substitutions. This is the problem at the end of the day, right? He only has plan A, never has a plan B. When plan A doesn't work, he makes substitutions and reorganizes plan A. Why is Declan Rice becoming a fucking fullback? Big up Static.
Yeah, what's going on there? Why is
Declan Rice becoming a fucking fullback like it was with Thomas Partey? What was the old stat? We only won one game the entire time Partey would get put as a fucking fullback. We only won one game.
2. We won the first game we did it, and the last game we did it.
Okay, so two games in all the games he tried that nonsense, right? He's still doing it. He had Eze, who we needed a goal. You would think it'd be closer to the net. Same thing like I've been saying the whole season. This is the only manager that wants his number 10 far away from goal-scoring position. He's got Eze in the number 6 position trying to get shit going. Why isn't Eze further up the pitch? You got Gabriel Magalhaes further up the pitch than your number 10. And the sad thing is, it's almost understandable because Gabriel Magalhaes has scored more goals at this club than Gabby Jesus has. And he's a fucking center back.
Yeah, please.
Bro, it's all bullshit.
Disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace.
Look, let's here. Let's say staying positive, we win the league, right? We win the league. You have a World Cup coming up, as Gunnar Rieken has pointed out. Guys may be saving themselves for the World Cup. Guys who may be starters for their team are at risk of major injuries. If Rice is going to be the number 6 for England the whole time and he's going to be playing high-end minutes again, the man is not made of steel. The man ain't Superman. Something's going to give at one way or another. You got him. We have yet to hear, unless I haven't been paying attention, we have yet to hear what the situation is with Saka and Timber.
Let's have a look.
The last time I heard was that they were left out of training. So if they're being left out of training, that means they're both serious injuries. Hincapié, they forced onto the bench. We haven't gotten any update of what Hincapié is, which looked like it was another hamstring issue from his international game. You got Rice and Saka sent back by Tuchel because Tuchel's not going to be held out to dry to re-injure players. Gabriel Magalhaes has a fucked up knee from the game against Southampton. The problem is he's run these players into the ground. And we're talking about, we need to sell Lewis Skelly and Wanyeri to get maximum profit. Brother, if you're trying to sell guys to get maximum profit, there's a financial problem coming around the corner. Again, how many times here? Hold on. I'm on the site right now. You got Kai Havertz at 280,000 pounds a week. If you add all his bonuses throughout the year, if he hits, is an extra 2.6. Kai Havertz is on over 17 million pounds a season for his salary. Same thing with Gabby Jesus. Gabby Jesus is on 265,000 pounds a week. If he hits his bonus, if he was to hit bonuses, he's on over 17 million as well. What the hell do them two fucking bums bring to the table to get that much money?
Smiles.
Static could be very right about that.
No. I am telling you, big fella, he is. And as you know, and I don't mean to cut you off, Gianni, but as
I'm good, brother.
I have said this before, time and again. Arteta intentionally hides the extent and the severity of injuries so that people and the media don't know how serious the injuries are. And even furthermore, we don't know whether or not players are being rushed back. But we can certainly see when they are being rushed back by virtue that they end up falling and experiencing the same reoccurring injury. We have seen it time and again with Saka, with Timber, like with Partey. Like there have been a litany of players across this manager's regime that have been rushed back to injury, that have not been given the time to recuperate after an injury, and we've also known players that are playing on injuries, whether it's Rice, Gabriel Magalhaes, Timber, Ben White. I mean, like, so don't mean to cut you off, but I can guarantee you that we are not going to see Timber for the rest of the season. And
if Timber's out for the rest of the season, here's a funny fact. Timber is our only big name player that's not on 100,000 pounds a week. He's our only big name player. So what happens if Timber comes back and we got to extend his contract? Now we're talking crazy money. We're talking crazy money. This is why I said the issues that you run into at this current point with this manager is you are going to have to try to move players on at a loss. How much of a loss can you continually take? Yes, okay, Arsenal's making money. Brother, if Arsenal's making money, they wouldn't be worried about selling youngsters for maximum profit.
That's right.
They wouldn't be. That's a dead giveaway that there's something wrong here going on with the books. There's something dead wrong here that's going on with the books, right? And the sad thing is the two kids they're trying to get away for money should be walking into this team compared to what these other fucking bums are doing.
Right. Facts.
What is realistically, since, I don't know, you want to go back to the Villa loss? What the fuck has Zubimendi done outside of a couple of long shots? What has he actually done?
Run up and down.
Lost us some games.
Exactly.
Gave a back pass to Man United. Messed up in the Tottenham game when he tried to dribble and he gave the ball away.
But that's my point. So what realistically does this manager have a hard on for Zubimendi and not getting Lewis Skelly time? When Hincapié and Calafiori were healthy, when he wasn't getting any minutes. What realistically did Eze do to deserve to get benched right after the first game against Spurs for 5 games? And what has Odegaard or Havertz done to deserve that number 10 position, even though he's on loan now? But after what he did at the end of the season, what did them two guys do to deserve the number 10 position over Ethan Nwaneri? What is Noni? Here's a better question. What has Noni Madueke done to deserve to be guaranteed number 2 behind Saka over Ethan Nwaneri? But not only that, if you take the transfer fee that we paid him from Chelsea and include what we'll owe him for his full tenure at Arsenal, Noni Madueke is a 90 million pound player. Between Noni Madueke's salary and his transfer, he is a 90 million pound player. With add-ons, if he was to hit add-ons, he's a 95 million pound player. What in God's name has he done to deserve to get that when we have the likes of Nwaneri, Skelly? Hell, we can even go further back with some of the players that we've let go because of this manager who could walk back into this team. Guendouzi gets into this team right now over Zubimendi does. Where Guendouzi has gotten in the world as a player. Emil Smith Rowe, as soon as he puts the first drop of ink on a pen to come back to Arsenal, he's the best left winger that we have. He would be better than Trossard or Martinelli at this point.
Well, we also know why the youth are getting benched for those players, just because. I mean, so it's slightly twofold. The first aspect of it is the financial aspect of it. That that is never a good look. That youth academy players are outplaying players that this manager has intentionally brought in and has paid massive wages for. Mm-hmm. So just for that alone, like, the manager it's almost incumbent upon the manager to try and force these players in just because of the price tag that they have. Yep. But more importantly, the second part, going back to Mikel's ego, because we know that this man's ego is larger than fucking Saturn. It's crazy.
Do you think he really has a big ego, or do you think his ego is so fragile? I think it's more of a fragile. I think
Mm.
it's more of a fragile ego than it is a massive ego for me, because somebody who's got a fragile ego automatically to themselves makes it massive. But as soon as he steps out into the real world and experiences other people, that's what will dumb him down to having a fragile ego. Because I'm sorry, if you're that fragile to get upset at somebody cursing you out because you got mad at them for coming back late from checking on your parents who are going through cancer, Aubameyang, by the way, for those who didn't know, if you're that mad at him cursing you out for that because his mother's dealing with health issues at the time, and that's the reason why you're getting on him, I'm sorry, that's a fragile ego more than a massive ego for me. And
I heard a take
at the end of the
that
day,
someone.
and it's just at the end of the day, the way you look at how he has gone about changing all these players, they're all the same way. If there's anything that we can say, yes, these players are a representation of the manager, because all of them look like they have fragile egos. Every single one of these players, over the time that this manager has been here, look scared in any major fucking game. Any game that has any type of importance, they look scared walking into it every time. Doesn't matter what it is. We look scared against Villarreal in the Europa League when we should have no business of doing what we did in that situation. We've been scared in this cup final. We've been scared in games down the line in April, and in other times when they're big, we crumble. So my question is it a massive ego, or is he created with himself a fragile ego team that as soon as one sight of not being perfect and everything's not going our way, there's a massive crumble?
So I certainly don't dispute that he has a fragile ego. He epitomizes inferiority.
Yes.
However, what I would say though is that the massive and the fragile descriptions of it are not mutually exclusive, and I think they both work hand in hand. So on one hand, we know that this manager has developed an ego that he thinks that he is omnipotent, that he is infallible, that he can do no wrong. But simultaneously, to your point of that fragility, he never likes being told that he's wrong, and he always has to maintain the theatrical persona of being so omnipotent. So I certainly do agree that is fragile, but it's massive in the sense, and going back to the second point, that everyone lauds up how talented of a manager he is, and with all these wonderful superlatives. However, if 2 academy players, or even 3 for that matter, including Max, if 3 academy players are outshining players that this manager has demanded, paid over the odds for, continues to defend, that is a repudiation of that talent ID. That is a repudiation of McKellen itself, that he couldn't realize that some answers that we needed for this squad were already internal. We didn't have to go back to Stamford Bridge and pay 52 million quid for Madueke when we already had Ethan Nwaneri as the understudy, who could have very well usurped Saka in that starting role. But that goes hand in hand with this manager forcing players out of the club to protect the players that he likes. Goes back to ESR, because ESR, had he been given the run of games while our quasi-captain Pillowfoot was out injured, Odegaard would have never made it back into the starting 11. Same thing with Ethan. If Ethan was given a run of games while Pillowfoot was out injured, Odegaard would be holding bench. That's why both of these players have been pushed out of the club. Same with Lewis Skelly. Arteta loved Calamari. He wanted Calamari to be at this club. But Lewis Skelly had proven himself last year. He was a solid 7, 8 out of 10, and he's not even a left back. And he was doing the bits there. he also could have been very well playing in midfield, but instead we had to get Zubimendi. We had to get Marino. You know what I mean? Like, so that's why I say, you know, like it's both a massive ego, but certainly it is fragile beyond belief. Absolutely correct.
Trossard's a perfect example of that too. Trossard too, as well, when you look at it. He had a massive ego to shelve Trossard when he was balling out the year that we bottled the 8-point season to force Jesus back. But then look, this is how fragile his ego is as well. Trossard balled out to the point to where Trossard had to force himself into the left wing because he kept giving scapegoat after scapegoat for Martinelli playing like shit the second half of the 23-24 season, and had to ultimately go against his will and force Trossard into the left wing, and hasn't changed since. It's at the end of the day, all the problems here are the manager. All the problems here are the manager. Edu also still ticks a lot of the boxes as well for the problems because of these stupid contracts. But I mean, I think we did it. Was it on my last show that I did with you, Waffle, or was it the last week we talked about? I think it's 7 guys between Saka, Ben White,
54 million a year or something.
It's like 60 million a year in salaries out of the 180 million is 6-7 guys. You have another 16, 17 players that make up 100 million. And again, only 9 of those players are not on over 100,000 pounds a week. If you break it down, Arsenal spend 50 million less than City for salaries this year. However, we have the highest average salary across the board. That's why City's able to get all those players, because funny enough, like that guy Nico O'Reilly, youngsters being played, rotation being played. If you put Arteta in charge,
he scored against us on Sunday as well, by the way, O'Reilly.
Brother, I'm gonna tell you this right now. Be ready for a 3-0 plus. Where's here? I know we're gonna wrap, but just really quickly, where's the offense coming from? The Portuguese league is supposed to be a fucking farmers league, from what everybody tells us, right? How many times in the first half against Sporting did they try playing out from the back, similar to what happened with Leverkusen, to why we beat them, and they turned the ball over just outside of their box and we created nothing out of it?
Plenty.
Okay, so if we couldn't do that against Sporting, you think we could do that against City?
No.
Again, okay. And we were shown to be open against Sporting. If that left back doesn't try to get fancy on a one-touch and he settles the ball and lays it across, we might be down 1-0. We're looking at a different scoreline here. We're looking at a different situation in the Champions League. And for all those getting giddy, it doesn't matter who we get in the semifinal. If we can't create anything, how are you going to tell me we're beating Atletico Madrid or Barcelona? Neither one of those draws are good for us if you can't create.
I think a lot of people are overlooking Sporting Lisbon.
No, I'm saying just off the strength. I'm only saying just off the strength of if we get past Sporting. The only thing that's the benefit for us is that we got the 1-goal advantage. They're going to have to play out. We get to play defensively. Yeah. It's nothing, but at the end of the day, the way that we've been playing, it's the only thing that suits us, that we have a goal advantage. However, the problem is, where we are the ones that have to take City are the ones that are going to take the initiative.
Yes.
We're not going to. The fact that you already have so many of this fan base talking about all we need is a draw, all we need is a draw. Brother, how many times have you seen teams come to a game and say all we need is a draw and they fuck up and lose? How many times has that happened? Because
once that mentality,
you're going to lose that mentality, and the first goal goes in, you ain't switching the mentality fast enough at game speed to turn everything around. We've seen it time and time again throughout the history of the sport. Yeah. And again,
we also ain't talk about rotation. Like, we got
exactly. You're going to play the number 1 team against Sporting, and now you're going to go on the road and play the same team, majority of the same team that started against Sporting against City.
We are.
And again, it doesn't get easier. Again, it doesn't get easier for those in the back. Our next 4 games in the league is City. Next game is Newcastle, who's still playing for Europe, even though that conference got put in a dent. And then right after that, you got Fulham that's fighting for Europe. For all those in the back who don't realize what's going on here, if Aston Villa wins the Europa League, the Premier League gets 6 slots in the Champions League. So all those places gets moved down. So you now have Fulham and all these other teams fighting for that spot. And then the two semifinal legs, the two semifinals, if we make it there, is in between Newcastle and Fulham and West Ham.
No.
And
really?
Yeah. So imagine if you lose to Atletico or Barca, you have to pick yourself up and go away to West Ham against a team that's probably in best form out of the teams that are fighting for fighting to get out of the relegation as well. Your next 4 games, along with potentially next 3 Champions League games, your whole season could be decided. Because again, if we lose by 3 goals, doesn't matter what the scoreline is. If we lose by 3 goals to City, they're tied. They're tied with us on goal differential, which now means that it's out of our hands if we lose this game. If we lose this game Sunday, the season's over. Season's over. Because again, if you've been in place, if you've been in front for this long and you see it slip, that's going to affect. Look at what happened to Inter Milan last year. Bottled Champions League, bottled the league. The same thing could be coming here. Nice. Exactly. You're on a straight trajectory to do a nosedive down. But
who's the person that went at the end of the day though for Inter Milan? Who left? Who got the
manager? The manager.
So we need to do that as well then, if that happens.
Brother, listen, the manager, even if he wins the league, has to go.
Yeah.
The amount of problems that we are going to face long-term with injuries and everything else.
Players leaving, Johnny. You've not even spoken on that, but we're going to
we haven't even gotten to that point. If we get over the league, it's a double-edged sword. Who's to say that William Saliba doesn't want to go to PSG to replace Marquinhos in the back line over there with the way PSG is looking? Because everything now is saying Luis Enrique is not leaving PSG, that he's signing on an extension. So now you have the possibility of a team with more money than us could come here and talk to either Gabriel or Saliba and say, come on over to this back line.
Oh man, and that's it. That'll be it. Listen, people, though.
No, it's not at all, because here, I'll throw one more out for you. This is the one that nobody's talking about.
Last one.
If Rodri leaves to go to Real Madrid and we bottle this season, what's to say that City doesn't come in and say, Rice, stop fucking around, come be a 6 over here? Bro, if we lose Rice and one of them defenders, I don't give a fuck who you bring in. You're talking about a whole nother issue as far as resetting this team up to try to push again. Don't think that can't happen.
Or Saliba.
That Declan Rice won't bounce, that Saliba won't bounce, or
Gabriel,
or hell, for this matter, because they're looking for a right back, potentially wherever he is injury-wise. Who knows what happens with Timber? And if we lose any of those guys, done. Because the offense ain't going to kick it up.
I think if we don't win the title, we'll lose them anyway.
Mid-table, that's what we're going to be.
I think if we don't win the title, those guys will leave. It doesn't matter who we bring in. Yep. Unless we get Carlo Ancelotti, which we know we won't bring in. Unless we get Luis Enrique, we know the board won't do it. They're talking about Cesc Fabregas. So if we don't win the title, hey, you guys strap in for another 5 years of rebuild.
They're talking 2 Spaniards, Cesc Fabregas or Iriola. They're out their damn minds. They're out their damn minds.
Who's Iriola? Is that the Bournemouth manager?
Yeah.
Yep.
The one who looks like Dr. Octopus.
Oh, bro. At least we'll have a brand of football, innit? At least we'll have a brand of football. But anyway, bun that anyway. Listen, guys, I'm gonna wrap up now. Yeah, I've got to go and eat and everything, man. I know you guys got to get on with your day. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining the show. It weren't one of the tasteful shows that we usually have, but it is what it is, man. It's football feels like it's dead with Arsenal, man. It just feels like everything's just come tumbling down.
This weekend.
Yep, but
this weekend we will know.
I'm hoping there'd be some good though come out of this at the end of the season. And if not, I listen. I'm not even bothering next season. I'll tell you that now. I'm not even bothering. Anyway, people, we're out. Yeah, peace.
Take it easy.
Peace.